Yo, what is up guys, my name is Hakiii, and in this video we're going to take a look at the best special vehicles in GTA Online in updated version. Now what we'll consider a special vehicle is if the vehicle has any special ability or a special look to it. First one you can have a lot of fun with. It's one of the most fun vehicles in the game, hands down. The SCRAMJET has a couple of special abilities and it's so much fun to use, especially in free roam. One of them is the jump boost, which you can activate by pressing down on the left stick. It makes you jump up in there like a good 20-30 feet. It's a lot of fun, but this is a great combination to use along with the other special ability it has, which is the rocket boost on the back. The rocket boost on the SCRAMJET is one of the best rocket boosts in the game, mainly because of the relatively long duration of it. It lasts for a good couple of seconds, which is pretty long compared to other rocket boost vehicles. And so what I like to do with both of these is pretty much just combine them, pressing down on the left stick to jump up, and then pressing A or X on PlayStation to activate the rocket boost, which just makes you go flying all over the place, and it's so much fun, trust me. Not only is it extremely fun to use, but it's also weaponized and equipped with homing missiles. It might also have a machine gun if I remember correctly. If not, I mean, the homing missiles are still the primary weapon you want to use with it. The tracking on the SCRAMJET's missiles are pretty good, much better than the Oppressor Mark II, so it's gonna hit the target more often than not. The only thing I could really find with it that makes it a little annoying is the fact that it's pretty light. I mean, this is a very lightweight vehicle, and it isn't like other vehicles in this video that we're gonna talk about later that have crazy ramming capabilities. This is just not one of those vehicles, so that's, I guess, one downside with it. Besides that though, great vehicle for a price tag that's also a little steep, and by little I mean really steep, so that's another downside technically. $4.6 million to buy this vehicle, but if you have the trade price unlocked for it, it's gonna be much cheaper, down to $3.5 million, so that can definitely save you a lot of money. But moving on to a vehicle that does have some great ramming capabilities, the Vigilante. Really different functioning vehicle than the SCRAMJET. The only thing they have in common really is the rocket boost, but even the rocket boosts are pretty different from each other. For one thing, the Vigilante is a very heavy vehicle, and because it's so heavy, it's great at ramming cars out the way. It might surprise you, but the Vigilante can actually ram some big trucks out the way as well. I mean, this thing is very heavy, and with that pretty powerful rocket boost on the back, it could help it ram through everything really. And like the SCRAMJET, it is also equipped with homing missiles and a machine gun. The homing missiles, once again, the tracking is very accurate, even better than the SCRAMJETs, I want to say. And along with all the great things we've said about it so far, I mean, it's a freaking Batmobile. It's one of the most unique looking vehicles we have in GTA 5. This one's in Warstock cash and carry for $3.75 million, so another pretty expensive one. Then we have a very uniquely purposed one, the ramp buggy. I mean, it's in the name of it. This thing is a driving ramp for other vehicles. One of the things I like to do with it most is just go on the highway on the wrong side of the road and just drive against traffic and flip all vehicles coming that way. Besides the super unique look and the super cool ability to just be a ramp for other vehicles, this vehicle doesn't have too much to it, especially when it comes to armor and weapons. I mean, it doesn't have any weapons and any armor. I mean, one explosive is gonna fully blow this vehicle up, and this vehicle is very open as well. I don't think there's any doors on the sides either, so anyone, for example, with just a regular AR could easily shoot you. And this one's gonna cost you $3.2 million or a trade price of $2.4 million. All the vehicles we've talked about so far have literally no explosive protection whatsoever. None of them are armored at all so far, so let's move on to one that is actually armored in the sense that it takes multiple rockets to blow it up. So we're talking about the Torridor. It takes 6 homing missiles to blow up the Torridor, which is a good amount. I mean, any type of explosive protection compared to everything we've had on this list so far is good. And this vehicle is even more safe because it can go underwater. You can legit switch from regular car mode to submarine mode. So if you drive in the ocean or something like that, you then hold right D-pad and it completely transforms the vehicle into a submarine, and you can go as deep as you want. Plus it has a rocket boost on it, which you can even use underwater, so you actually have some decent speed as a submarine as well, which is awesome. You don't see regular submarines have any boost or any great speed, but the Torridor does, so it's an awesome and super unique vehicle. The rocket boost does recharge very fast, but it is a shorter duration of time once you actually activate it, and so it does function a bit differently than, let's say, the SCRAMJET's rocket boost, and it costs $3,660,000 $160,000. Next up is the Oppressor Mark 1. That's right, not the Mark 2, the Mark 1. If you ask me, it's more fun to use than the Oppressor Mark 2 just because the Oppressor Mark 1 is a gliding vehicle while the Mark 2 is actually a flying one. And it takes more skill to ride around in the Mark 1 compared to the Mark 2, which does make it more fun to use ultimately. The wings of the Oppressor Mark 1 retract in and out, so basically if you wanted to, you can use it like a regular motorcycle, or if you actually want to glide with it and fly around like that, you can have the wings out and then you just use the rocket boost that it has, and then after that you can glide for a good, like, I want to say roughly 15 seconds after that, and then for the boost to recharge you have to touch the ground, and only after touching the ground it starts to recharge within a couple seconds. Along with the SCRAMJET, this is easily one of the most fun vehicles you can use in the game. You can do flips and all that type of stuff. The gliding ability just enhances it like a ton, and along with the rocket boost, it's just a great combination to have fun with in free roam or wherever. Even when the Mark II Oppressor came out back in the day, I refused to use it just because I had so much fun using the Mark 1. I was literally paranoid to upgrade just because the Mark 1 was just so dear in my heart, I guess. I love the Oppressor Mark 1 even though the Mark 2 is just hands down more overpowered. It's got a buy it now price of $3.5 million or a trade price of $2.65. I would say the trade price is well worth it. Definitely recommend unlocking that as soon as possible. Next up, we simply have a jetpack, the thruster. Rarely anyone even uses the thruster, and I can see why. I mean, the downside of it is that it's hard to handle. Maneuvering around with it is a little difficult, like turning and stuff like that. It's just a bit stiff. One thing it does have going for it though is that it does look very badass. If you go in this thing, I mean, the way the legs of the vehicle just like retract up and down is very cool looking, I have to say. And I really would have liked for this jetpack to be easier to use because it's just a bit more difficult, and that's probably the main reason people don't use it that much. But besides it being very unique, it does have homing missiles on it, which is awesome. You can equip it, I believe, inside of the Avenger if I'm not mistaken. And of course it has countermeasures, so that's a nice defense system right there. And I mean, it's a pretty small vehicle, which logically makes sense for it to dodge more missiles coming at you, especially from the Oppressor Mark II, since the tracking on the Oppressor Mark II missiles are just not great. But don't think this thing can compete with the Oppressor Mark II, alright? It's just a cool special vehicle, that's all. It has a trade price of $2.75 million and a buy it now of $3.65, so another steep one. Then we have, of course, the Deluxo. If you thought the Deluxo wasn't gonna be in this video, you're crazy. The Deluxo simply has a hover mode, which you can activate by pressing A or X on PlayStation, and then as you're hovering, you could just go up in there, and then you're basically flying at that point. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any explosive resistance, but it is weaponized. It's equipped with homing missiles and a machine gun, I believe, and the tracking on the Deluxo's missiles are very efficient. One of the best, if not the best, when it comes to efficiency and actually hitting the target with the homing missiles. The flying ability is super useful, and the Back to the Future look it's got is a nice little reference as well. It's really easy to turn with it and just do like 360s and all that type of stuff. It doesn't really flip, but I mean, just going in a circle is very easy, and it almost feels like up in the air you're just on an ice rink because it's so freaking slippery for some reason. That's what it feels like up in the air for me using it. Maneuvering and just handling overall is the exact opposite of the thruster. Basically, they're super different how they work. The cheaper trade price you can get it for is $3.55 million or a buy it now of about $4.7. One thing's for sure, the majority of these vehicles are pretty hefty. Drop a like and subscribe if you're new so you never miss any more awesome videos like these. Now, since the vehicles in this video were for the most part pretty expensive, click the video on screen now for the best budget vehicles you can buy under $1 million in GTA Online. I hope you all enjoy that video, and peace.